Tell me, is it whack up in the air? Rapping scattered off the gear. I can map him, yeah, the air. It's like a tracker, get distracted, send him back like in the mail. Not a fraction of them real. Catch him lacking, run the drill. Boom. Running through the shit like a motherfucking day.
Welcome back to another vlog, guys. On this episode, I've just got back from the drags last night, and I'm not gonna lie, having back-to-back QR trips, like 2 late nights in a row and work in the middle, I'm freaking wrecked. But I've got to get the 180 off the trailer and bring it in here, chuck it on the red hoist, and we're gonna swap the turbo over. So that's freaking exciting. And disappointing result last night with the 180. Like, it was partially the car setup. Obviously it's set up for drifting, so the springs are super stiff. It really needs a softer spring in the rear to get it to squat down and launch properly. And then also just my driver skill. So I haven't really practiced launching that much, and I'm not that good. So I don't know if you could chuck someone else in there that's like a proper drag racer, and they could obviously get a better time. There's that, and then there's also the car setup's not the best for drag racing. But I got a 12.7. I got a 12.6, which is pretty good. It's not my best. 12.1 was my best, but getting a good start is everything in drag racing, like literally everything. My mile per hour was 122, so I should be getting in 11 seconds pretty easily. But anyway, it was a heap of fun anyway. So that was on the last episode. If you haven't seen that one, go check it out. And then so first up today, I'm gonna get the car off the trailer, back it off there, chuck it in here, and let's get started, eh? So this is my 180SX, and it's the car that I've had since stock. And so I first converted it to RB25 about 4 years ago now. And when I was converting it, I did a heap of research to see which turbo would be best for this setup for drifting. And a lot of people said don't go with the smaller turbo, because I was going to get a Garrett, and there's pretty much 2 sizes to choose from: a smaller one for more response and then not as much top end, or a bigger turbo, which is the GTX or GT. GTX is dual ball bearing, so the GT is only single ball bearing. Still good, but the GTX spools up a tiny bit faster. So I ended up going with the GTX35 because that's what I was recommended, and a lot of people do use that turbo and drift quite fine and really well. But for my skill level, I'm not ready for that size turbo, so I'm dropping back down to a smaller turbo, so then I should be able to get on boost easier. So someone that's just learning should be able to drift a lot easier with that turbo. And I think it's just going to stay on this car forever, because this car is slowly going to stop drifting and it'd be more of a show car, as you probably heard me say before. So what we're doing today is we're going to rip the old turbo out and whack in this new one, which is the GTX30, and it's a Gen 2. You can easily tell the Gen 2 from Gen 1 by it's got this centerpiece and also a port here to add in a sensor. See, I'm super keen to get this turbo in. I got it for a really good deal from JDM Auto Parts in Springwood. Corin, he's the man there. I've literally bought pretty much all the aftermarket parts for this car from his shop. And yeah, that's the cool thing about JDM cars, or older JDM cars. all the parts, when the car gets smashed, and all the parts get recycled into other cars. So it's like, yeah, it's not just a waste. I like that. But anyway, let's get stuck into it. Hopefully it's not too complicated because I've got a V-band rear housing on the existing turbo. This one's V-band rear housing as well, so it should bolt straight up there, hopefully. And the 4-bolt T3 flange is the same gasket. Hopefully the braided lines fit up okay. And the only thing I think we're going to have to change is obviously this intake here. And also that's probably going to be too small for my one. But this here, I'm probably going to have to get an elbow put on here and to make it fit. But we'll fit it on there anyway and see how close it gets. So this is my RB25. It's currently making 500 horsepower on this turbo with E85 and 19 pounds of boost. It's got 1000 cc injectors. It's got split fire coil packs and aftermarket rail with dual feed at each end. And it's got a Greddy forward facing plenum that's actually real, surprisingly. And then it's got an adapter to have the stock throttle be on there, so you don't have all the issues of aftermarket ones. It's literally the engine is unopened, so it's completely stock, never been opened. No head bolt, no head studs, no head gasket. It's just stock. So it's been doing really well on 500. It doesn't make too many noises or anything like that. I just got basic bolt-ons to help, like oil cooler, the fuel pressure regulator, so you need an aftermarket one of those. And yeah, this is an eBay reservoir, which looks really nice, surprisingly. And eBay radiator that works mint. The Spal fans that I got, because this engine is not made for this car, surprisingly actually fits in there just perfectly. A lot of people, to make room, because I don't have a fan on this side, I've actually got a fan on the front, pusher fan, so it pushes the air through the radiator. Instead, your normal thermos will be on this side and they'll be pulling. So I got them, I actually bought them brand new, and they were bloody expensive, but they work so good, like massive difference. Really good brand, highly recommend. But the actual radiator is just eBay, so that's doing well considering. And I took out the aircon to make some space. Oh, that's what I was saying. So normally people cut this front section and move the radiator back, and it gives you enough space. But if you cut that, then it's a defect. Like, you can't really register it when it's cut. The cops really don't like that sort of stuff. So I ended up doing that option, and it works out great. Got the GK Tech cooling fan on top here that keep the air funneled in through the front. And this front bar, everyone asked me what brand it is. I really don't know. Got it secondhand for $100, and the vent on the front is freaking massive, so that helps a lot. If you have like a stock front bar, that'll cause overheating issues like massively. That's what I found anyway. So with this turbo swap, pretty sure this pipe's going to be too big, and this elbow, I'm going to need something similar on the other turbo. And hopefully this rear dump pipe lines up okay, and these lines fit on. One other thing, with your oil feed on a GTX turbo, you need to have a little reducer fitting in there so that you don't overfeed the turbo with oil. Otherwise you're just going to run into problems with over oiling, because they don't need much. That's one other little tip. But with a GT turbo, just a single ball bearing, you don't need that fitting. I've got I've got a 6 boost manifold in here with a V-band, so that thing is hopefully going to help out a lot with this spooling. Basically what I'm chasing is no lag. Like, I just want boost straight away, and I'm so keen to have that, because man, this thing's laggy. like it's, you can drive around it, like you can definitely drive it hard as and then but if you're just trying to like get a quick snap out of first and second, it's very laggy. But it's good for some things, like a roll race. This thing is really good for roll racing. Like, you're pretty much on boost off the line when you're rolling, so you're laughing. But a stop start, this thing's slow as. One other thing forgot to mention, I got my catch can off one of my mates at the fabricator. If you're interested in getting one of these made up, just hit me up in the comments and I'll forward you his details, or I'll actually just check down in the description below. I'll put his Instagram in there and you can check it out. But this thing is really nice. I was having all sorts of issues before, if you've seen on the other videos of my old catch can just pissing oil down the side, and now that's a thing of the past. So that's a beautiful thing, and it's not actually made for this, that's why it sort of looks not quite right. It's made for the 32, so he's going to be making an S13 version very soon, and then I'm going to put this one in 32 and the S13 one in here, and just those lines are just temporary at the moment. Yeah, that's enough about the car. Let's get this old turbo off and get the new one on there and have a look and see what it lines up like. So we got the smaller new turbo on top and then the bigger one on the bottom. You can't really see the difference because the black kind of hides the whole bloody turbo. But it worked well in this engine bay. It looks stealth as. It will be freaking cool to have this turbo on full display though, with the Garrett logo fully seeable. I was thinking about getting the front cover powder coated, like a cool red and black combination, or red and white or something, just to make it pop out. But it kind of already stands out like that. So I'm going to see what it looks like when I get it on there. I should probably start working on this, eh? I've just been mucking around in the shed doing other things the whole bloody time. I got these nice covers, which is pretty professional. Okay, now I'm going to take the old turbo out. That's a big boy nappy. These things work so good. If you want a really good brand, get the Goldies one. They actually last. The ones on eBay will catch on fire, and yeah, don't get an eBay one of these. These are expensive, but they work super well. Alright, now that I've got the front cover off, or the front intake off, and this pipe off, you can actually see a bit more, and the nappy is off as well, so you can actually see a bit more of the turbo now. The rear housing is quite small on this, but it's still laggy as. So the way to get around that is you could have a cam or nitrous. That'll definitely get you on boost sooner. But yeah, I'm not going down all that road. I'm just going to put a small turbo on. And so the thing I love about this is I chose to get V-bound. So when I was designing, or when I was choosing what parts to chuck in this setup, I wanted to make it as easy as possible if you ever need to change anything. And a high mount turbo is so easy to work on. And then braided lines are just a spanner fitting to take them off instead of the bloody banjo fittings that are shit. And also a V-band rear. Like, holy shit, V-band is life. I don't know if I'd ever go back to like the old bolt pattern. Those things just always snap or get seized up and you can't get them off easy. So V-band is the way to go if you want something nice and easy. I'll show you right now. And just like that, the dump pipe is disconnected. Like, one bolt. How freaking good is that? The only thing I'm thinking about is hopefully the other one lines up. It might not, it might. But anyway, the tuner's a fabricator, so if it doesn't line up, he can fabricate that to fit. It'll be easier that way. And now just to take off the lines, and to do that, I remember mucking around with this bloody thing. I actually take off the front housing by undoing these bolts, and then I can get access to that easy as, because the one at the bottom's super hard to get to. I think it's that one there, you can't get a spanner on it. But we made a special spanner, me and Dad. I'll show you. Hopefully it's in the glove box still. this is it. It is still in here. So we made this spanner out of a piece of steel, and it works perfectly. It's the exact size that you need. That's some backyard mechanics right there. And that gets down in there and undoes that one. Mint. But yeah, it's quite difficult, so I'm just going to take the front housing off. It will make it easier. And we'll be laughing. Also, this front housing, someone put helicoils in all of the each one of the bloody threads. They stuffed them up, so I had to tap. They all got stripped, and I had to tap them all out to a bigger size. It works now, but that was a pain in the ass. That's the front. The front housing's off, and you see this is the elbow that's been welded on the end of it. So I'm going to need something similar to sort of do the same trick. Cool, so the lines are now disconnected, and this is your oil feed in, and that's the little reducer that I was talking about. So you can see it's like a tiny pinhole where it actually goes in. So normally this fitting would be the full opening, but this is a special reducer fitting. So make sure if you got a GTX you put that in there. You definitely want that. And yeah, so that's that line and the two water lines. Now actually I just got to take the oil return off, but that's just a hose clamp. And then the 4 bolts, or the 4 nuts under here that hold the turbo to the exhaust manifold. Alright, turbo's out just like that. And you can see here, this is the V-band, this is the twin scroll. So you can see that there's 2 outlets, there's 2 banks, so 3 off each side come to each half of this, and it pulls, so the exhaust comes out of that, and then it pushes one side onto the outer edge and one side on the inner or something like that. I can't remember, but when I researched it, it sounded pretty cool. So you're meant to have the V-band rear housing on the turbo to match up to it to get the full advantage of it, but you can use just your normal manifold and still pick up some advantages as well. I did notice a bit of a difference when I had this V-band manifold on here, but it sounds a lot better with this manifold for sure. I used to have a hyper gear on there, and you can see down in here there's my external wastegate that's plumbed into the exhaust so that it's legal, and that's why it's so quiet when I drive it. But let's go compare turbos. Just before I compare the size of these, if you've heard people talk about clocking turbos before, all that means is that you can actually spin this front section around to get it to line up with your setup. So you can spin the front housing, and it just spins on this flange here. So you can see there, it fits in here, and it spins around, so you can actually put it whichever way around you desire. And then the brackets that hold it are just these little tiny brackets, and they go on the back section here and bolt on and hold it tight, which do have a boost leak straight from factory, but I don't know, it works enough. Let's compare the sizes of these two. That one's looking way bigger, but how nice does that look? Look, this was sold to me as a second-hand brand new one from JDM Auto Parts, and whew, keen as. This one actually spins for longer, and it sounds way smoother, but this is the Gen 2, so it should be better. The fins look way different too. This one dirty. Alright, so let's check out the differences of these two turbos. You can see the one on the right is a tad bit bigger, especially in this section here. This is a bit smaller. And then it's a lot different shape actually. Like this is actually thinner, but this is fatter. And then the dump part looks exactly the same. It's probably the exact same. The exhaust housing, I mean. I can probably see by the markings on it. But anyway, I'm just going to take these fittings out and whack them into this one. Yeah, so they're not massively different on the outside, other than this one's slightly bigger. It looks big from that angle. But the internals, obviously that's the old technology. This is actually the Gen 2 of the 30, so it should have a lot more technology in there. Anyway, let's get it over to the car and have a look and see how well it fits. Alright, got all the fittings switched over. So got the 1mm reducer on there, and my other fittings that I have that meet up with my already installed braided lines. But from here on is the unknown. So let's see what lines up. Let's have a go. When do you ever put something in and it lines up like that? This is a good good shot of the V-band there. So just a flange welded on both sides, and then it's a compression fit. It's got a little tiny groove that it sits on just there, and then this is the actual band that goes around and just squeezes it in a perfect circle with one bolt. I don't know if you can tell, but I love that thing. Yeah, so holy shit, that looks freaking awesome. Oh, that looks so good. It looks bloody expensive, probably because it was. I'm just gonna have to figure out how to plumb up this fella. Yeah, an elbow would be perfect. Should be able to make it work. It's a lot smaller, so I'm gonna need a reducer or make it bigger. You can see I've got this heat shielding cover stuff that goes over the braided lines, and that's been cooking, eh? It's almost all the way through. So I'm going to reroute this line, make it a bit nicer, get it all hooked up, and then we'll have another look, eh? Alright, you wouldn't believe it. You know, so there's 4 bolts that I'm doing up down here, and this one here is super hard to get to, but lucky for me, I found this 14mm spanner, you might remember, in the engine bay of the 32, and holy shit, just came in so handy just then. That was sick. That was freaking awesome. I love that. Woohoo! Well, I just found my first problem. I was putting the oil return hose back in, and I heard a crack noise. I was like, oh, what was that? And I seen like a hairline split in here, and then I bent it, and holy shit, because it's right on next to the heat. Obviously the hose goes hard, and that hose is absolutely cooked, eh? So I just need a new piece of that, hook that up, and it should be all good. I should put a heat shield on it as well. These hoses get bloody hot because they're right next to all the hot side, all the smoking hot stuff. Wow, so that fit incredibly well. I'm fucking happy. Like, Garrett, you guys know what you're doing, eh? They made everything fit, like it's the same dimensions, even though the internals are different, it's a different size turbo. Like, fuck, even this fits on. How good. This lines up easy as. Literally only took me a couple of hours to do this, eh, and I was mucking around. So, only thing I have to do is, I'm going to order a beanie to fit this one. The other one I had was way too big. And then, also that oil return line, get another piece of that hose. I actually have some, but it's up at Dad's house, so I'll grab some of that, and I have to jack the car up, which is shit, but I'll put that on. And then also I'm gonna I have to clock the turbo like around a tiny bit more to line up with this pipe, and then actually no, I don't, it's actually in the right position. I just need to take the housing off and then take it to get an elbow welded on there, the same as what's on the other turbo. And then also tap and screw in the fitting so that I can hook up my boost pressure reference. and should be done. Take it to the tuner. So it's actually going to be interesting to see the difference on these turbos, because I'm not changing anything except for the turbo. Even the rear housing is the same, so the core and the front housing is different. Rear housing is the same, and everything else exactly the same. So we'll get an exact figure of the difference between the turbos, and then you'll see the curve slightly different as well, which is going to be cool. And then I'm going to take it out to like a roll race and race some people that I've raced before, and then see how well the car goes. Super pumped for that. And then also I'm super pumped to drift it, obviously. I'm gonna have to. It's gonna be sick. So yeah, I'll do those couple of things, and then we'll take it up to the tuner. Next episode is gonna be at the tuner, getting this thing dyno tuned, and it sounds incredible, so can't wait to listen to that. And yeah, so stay tuned for that one. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button, drop a comment on maybe what horsepower you think it's gonna make, and then also, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Appreciate all you guys that have recently joined. We're well over 1K now. We're flying. So it's always nice to share what I'm doing with everyone. So my whole objective here is just to share what I'm doing and entertain you guys at the same time as you might pick up a few tricks, or you guys might teach me something, which is what it's all about. So enjoy the rest of your day or night, and I'll see you on the next one.